Welcome to The Record. I'm Mark Maxwell. Thanks for joining us at a bit of a different time this week during this busy Olympics schedule. It's also our last program before the Missouri primary. Voters will decide who will advance to November at the ballot box this Tuesday. There are so many more candidates and races we wish we could have highlighted, but with 2 days to go, we turn our attention this week to the one vacant seat in Congress, Missouri's 3rd Congressional District, which Blaine Luetkemeyer has represented for more than a decade. Former State Senator Republican Bob Onder joins us now in his campaign bid to become the congressman in the 3rd Congressional District, parts of Jefferson County, a lot of St. Charles County.
Right.
So a lot of our viewing area here. Should you become the next member of Congress from Missouri, what would you be bringing that your opponent would not?
Well, certainly I will be prioritizing restoring sanity to the border situation, reinstituting President Donald Trump's immigration policies that kept our country secure and our border secure. Certainly,
would those be changes from either the incumbent or from your opponent?
Well, not from my incumbent, but certainly those will be changes that President Trump and I and fellow Republicans will institute over the current Biden-Harris policies.
On the border, should Republicans have taken the win in the border bill that President Biden and Republican Senator James Lankford had supported, which would send a lot more resources to border patrol agents?
That was not a win. That would have codified 5,000 illegal aliens a day, that before the president then would still have discretion as to whether to close the border. So no, that bill was not a win.
That's not quite right. You're talking about the shutoff valve to the entire border that would have been activated if that surge showed up. But there were other parts that would speed up.
Which President Biden could then override, which he undoubtedly would, because he's opened a red carpet to illegal immigration in his 3 years in office.
So you want to see federal change. So if you got a bill on your desk that would improve either resources to the southern border, you would vote for it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But we don't necessarily need new laws at all. We need to enforce the laws that were on the books as we did under Donald Trump. We need to make ICE not a babysitter's rolling out the red carpet to illegal immigration, but rather enforce immigration law, cooperate with local law enforcement. I've talked to sheriffs and law enforcement across the 3rd Congressional District who say that when they detain illegal aliens, even illegal aliens who have committed crimes, ICE has no interest in coming and getting them and deporting them. That's got to change.
Well, certainly there has been a surge to the point where many of those law enforcement are outnumbered. I want to ask if you can clarify this. You're running for federal office, but
Yes.
you had a lot of experience in state office.
Yes.
As you know, in a Republican federalist government,
Yes.
each state doesn't check on who comes in and across those borders. There's free flow of travel. Your old pal, Senator Bill Eigel, running for governor, says he would, as Missouri governor, deport people. Can you clarify for him that there is no Missouri state law that gives him power to do that?
I think the federal government ought to allow states to act in a complementary way to enforce federal immigration law. In fact, when I was in the Missouri House in 2008, I passed and Governor Matt Blunt signed the strongest law in the country to fight illegal immigration. And among other things, it ended catch and release. It banned sanctuary cities. It cracked down on illegals who were committing crimes and contractors who were hiring illegals. But all of that requires cooperation by the federal government. If the federal government does not cooperate, we can have bans on sanctuary cities, but if there's no enforcement by ICE of our immigration law, it's all for naught.
Is it hypocritical for Missouri Republicans to say we want more cooperation from the federal government on immigration, but we're going to sue to block the federal government and pass laws to block the federal government from enforcing gun laws here?
I don't think so, because the right to keep and bear arms is in the Second Amendment.
And the federal government doesn't impede on
the
that.
Second Amendment Preservation Act was to say that should the federal government use, say, executive orders to infringe upon Second Amendment rights, that Missouri law enforcement would not cooperate in that infringement.
So when the Supreme Court voted 8-1 that red flag laws were not infringing on Second Amendment rights, you think?
I think they got it wrong.
8-1, you think the Supreme Court was wrong?
Yeah, I think they got it wrong. And if I recall, that was on a technicalities, something about standing, not about the idea that an individual's Second Amendment rights can be infringed without adequate due process.
Certainly there are adjudications for people that have restraining orders and for people that go through those. If you're going to say that a person shouldn't have, that red flag laws infringe their Second Amendment rights, then should you also have to explain why someone who has threatened to kill someone who has hit a partner of theirs, or someone who has posing a danger to someone, why should that person be armed with lethal force in their moment of their life's worst crisis?
No, the question is whether, of course they should be. The question is, what is the standard of proof? And I think the standard of proof should be actual due process and conviction of that, not a mere accusation.
You were instrumental in the abortion regulation and restriction debate in Missouri. Would you vote for a nationwide abortion ban?
Yeah, in our federal system, the so-called police powers are vested in the states, so that we really, pro-lifers for 50 years have fought to return those rights to the states. But look, I'll always be pro-life. I think there are a lot of issues, federal issues, pertaining to the right to life, including whether taxpayers should be forced to fund abortion, whether taxpayers should fund abortion abroad. In other words, the Mexico City Agreement needs to be restored, which I think it will under President Trump.
Are you talking about members of the military?
Well, I'm talking about Medicaid. I'm talking about abroad, as in
members of the military have federal
international
health
programs.
Yeah.
But no, we should not be. The U.S. taxpayers should not be forced to pay for any abortions,
Including members of the military?
any abortions.
So I want to make sure I'm clear on that. You're saying states have police powers, but should the federal government take any action to further restrict access to abortion nationwide?
I think there will be issues that will come up pertaining to life, as they did, for instance, in the partial abortion ban, which was a bipartisan issue. And I think we've just got to take those one issue at a time.
A lot of voters ask a simple question. What are you going to do for me? I'm going to ask the question this way. You're familiar with earmarks. These are projects that members of Congress can advocate for in a lot of different ways and can bring home the bacon. Mm-hmm. Some members of Congress have said, I'm not going to do that. And a lot of local governments, a lot of nonprofits, a lot of other people have urged them, please reconsider. We need investment. Parts of rural America are sadly forgotten and need upgrades, need infrastructure. Where are you? Will you accept, will you advocate for earmarks in Missouri?
Look, there are too many earmarks that have been utter wastes. Including a lot in the recently passed omnibus bill.
Well, you wouldn't advocate for waste, would you?
But I will advocate for. No, I will not, and I will advocate for instance, Missouri's appropriate share of federal highway funds, of funds for important projects at our universities. So it just depends on the issue.
On earmarks, you are a yes or you're a no?
So I just have to look at the particular need of the district, and
sounds like you're open to it.
I'm open to advocating for the district in any way I need to as congressman.
Before we let you go, do you have any other distinctions that you say, look, voters need to know I'm different from my opponent because of X, Y, or Z?
Sure. I'm the only candidate endorsed in my race by President Trump, by Missouri Right to Life, by National Right to Life, by other conservative leaders like Ted Cruz and Byron Donalds. I am the conservative in my race.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We're back in a moment.